Before the age of ice, a different trial by fire. A sun that did not nurture, but scorched the very earth. Here, a family of early hominids clung to life, their world shrinking with each passing, cloudless day. The leader felt the silent plea of his clan, a thirst that could not be quenched by memory. The waterholes, once the heart of their territory, were now just graves of cracked and sun-baked mud. The hard earth refused to give up its nourishment. The clan's hunger grew with every fruitless effort. In the eyes of the young, the future was uncertain. A listless despair, born of thirst and hunger. But on the far horizon, a faint promise. A sliver of hope that somewhere the rains had fallen.
A desperate choice had to be made. To stay and perish, or to risk the unknown for a chance at life.
Fear of the unknown was a powerful instinct, but the fear of certain death was even stronger. A small party is chosen, not for a hunt, but for a desperate pilgrimage in search of life-giving water. Under the first light of a scorching sun, the journey began. A desperate gamble for the survival of their kin. Each step carried the weight of their clan's future, into the vast, silent, and treacherous heart of the plains. The plains offered no mercy, a constant, brutal reminder of the unforgiving nature of their world. Every horizon held two promises, the hope of water and the certainty of unseen eyes. Thirst was a constant companion, a burning fire in their throats, stealing strength with every labored breath. In this barren land, individual weakness was shared. Their strength lay in their unity, their a lone sentinel against the sun's wrath. A brief, precious moment of respite from the relentless journey. Even in rest, vigilance was paramount. The plains were never truly empty, never truly safe. The journey continues, each step a battle against exhaustion and the boundless, unforgiving plains. Mile after burning mile, they pushed onward, a testament to a hunger for life stronger than any thirst. The endless plain unfolds, a deceptive landscape, every new detail a promise or a hidden threat. A ripple in the grass, a subtle warning. The plains were never truly empty, never truly silent. Their primitive tools, their only defense. A small, vulnerable circle against the vast, unseen dangers. Life, a double-edged sword. The presence of prey hints at water, but also the shadow that follows them. They understood nature's delicate balance. Where there was life, there was always a greater hunter waiting. Survival means avoiding confrontation, to circumvent danger, to outthink the primal hunter. A fleeting glimpse, an indistinct shadow, a spark of primal fear in the back of their ancient minds, an unspoken warning, a silent fear shared, even when the threat itself remains hidden. The subtle warnings grow louder. They push onward, their bodies weary, their senses stretched to breaking. As the sun dips lower, shadows deepen. Each step takes them closer to their goal. Pushed to the very edge of endurance, their bodies screamed for an end to the punishing journey.
And then, a sight beyond hope. The destination, once a hazy dream.
Water, the source of all life. A ribbon of impossible blue and green, cutting through the dead earth. In this moment, all pain and fear were washed away by a single, overwhelming wave of pure relief. The first taste of cool, clear water. A feeling more precious than any prize. A true taste of life. Their desperate pilgrimage was a success. They had conquered the plains and brought hope back to their clan.
But in this ancient world, every oasis has its guardian. Every prize, its price.
On the far bank, The true rulers of this river watched. Their thirst had led them to another's territory.
A pride of prehistoric lions, powerful, confident, and undisturbed by the arrival of the weary strangers. Their moment of triumph evaporates. They had not found a sanctuary, but had walked directly into the lion's den.
The connection is made. An ancient, primal understanding between the hunter and a far greater hunter.
A single, guttural warning. The joy of discovery is instantly poisoned by the bitter taste of fear.
No roar is needed. A low growl, a vibration of power, is enough to claim ownership of this entire valley. Their minds, once clouded by thirst, now race with a single, desperate thought: escape.
The pride moves with chilling intelligence. A silent, coordinated strategy to surround and trap their cornered prey.
Panic begins to set in. The open plain, once a challenge, now feels like a vast, inescapable cage.
In a world with no walls, any shelter is a fortress. A single, thorny tree becomes their only hope.
A frantic dash for their lives. The short distance to the tree feels like an eternity, with death at their heels. They climb, ignoring the pain of the thorns, seeking refuge in the fragile branches above the ground.
The trap is sprung. They have found water, only to be besieged in their pathetic sanctuary.
Trapped. Their fragile refuge is now a cage, with the warden of this prison staring up with ancient, golden eyes. The lions showed no aggression, for none was needed. They possessed the ultimate weapon: patience. A desperate act of defiance. A futile gesture against a power so immense it barely registered the challenge. The lion's yawn was not a sign of sleepiness, but of absolute dominance. A display of terrifying confidence.
The horrifying truth dawns upon them. The lions were not going anywhere. Hope began to bleed away with the light.
A test of their sanctuary. A casual display of power. A reminder of the crushing strength waiting below. Higher they climb, into weaker branches, their sanctuary threatening to break under the weight of their own fear.
The message was clear. The lions could reach them when they chose. This was a game they were winning.
As dusk claimed the plains, the world transformed. In the encroaching night, the predator's eyes became twin moons, glowing with a promise of the inevitable. Darkness fell, a thick blanket that offered no comfort, only concealment for the terrors below. Every sound of the night became an imagined threat. Every rustle of grass, the footstep of a monster. The great cat began to pace, a restless jailer, a constant, moving reminder of their inescapable doom. The cruelest torture was the sound of the nearby river, a paradise of water, just beyond the reach of hell. The lions communicated with quiet confidence, their soft calls a language of death in the terrified ears of the hominids. Even in despair, the leader sought to comfort his kin. Their unity was their last remaining shield.
Suddenly, the night erupted with the sounds of a kill. A brutal, audible lesson in the lion's deadly efficiency.
The sounds of the feast drifted up to the starving hominids, a grotesque reminder of what awaited them. Exhaustion was a relentless enemy. To fall asleep was to fall from the tree, and to fall was to die. The stars wheeled overhead, indifferent witnesses to the small, desperate struggle for a single sunrise. The long night finally bleeds into a cold, gray dawn. But the light brings no relief. The predators remained, patient and certain. The hominid's prison was not the tree, but the lion's unwavering will. The leader saw the truth. To stay in the tree was to die slowly. A desperate choice had to be made.
In the landscape of despair, the mind searches for a weapon. A loose rock, a steep slope, a desperate chance.
On the horizon, a new force gathered. A storm, promising rain they desperately needed, but also a new danger.
A plan is formed without a single word. A language of gesture, of shared understanding, born of desperation.
Any action was better than none. A flicker of hope, a chance to fight back, reignited their dying spirits. With agonizing slowness, they descend from their perch, leaving the illusion of safety for a dangerous gamble. Every inch of ground is a risk. Every blade of grass, a potential betrayer in their silent crawl towards hope. The great lion senses a shift, a subtle change in the air, a whisper of defiance.
Discovered. In the open, they are utterly helpless. A single mistake, and the gamble is lost before it begins.
From the tree, a selfless act of diversion. A deliberate risk to save the lives of their kin. The lion's attention is drawn, but only for a moment. A precious, fleeting window of opportunity opens. With burning muscles and raw hands, they climb, their entire clan's survival resting on this one desperate act. All their remaining strength is focused on a single point. A battle of primitive muscle against the inertia of stone. Below, the pride grows agitated. They sense the shift, the strange defiance of the creatures they had trapped. The rock falls, a miniature avalanche, a thunderclap of their own making, unleashed upon the unsuspecting predators. For the first time, the great hunters are thrown into chaos, their confidence shattered by an unexpected assault.
The moment of chaos is their only chance. A frantic, desperate scramble from the jaws of the trap.
They run, away from certain death, with the fury of the storm gathering at their backs.
They run on legs burning with exhaustion, fueled by the fading adrenaline of their desperate gamble. The roar of the defeated predator echoes behind them, a cry not of hunger, but of fury and confusion. The lions hesitate. The strange, rock-throwing prey had proven too unpredictable, too dangerous to pursue. And then the sky itself attacks. The long-awaited rain arrives not as a blessing, but as a violent torrent. The cold rain is a shock, but also a cloak, washing away their scent and their trail. Lashed by wind and rain, they are lost in grey chaos. The sky's fury replaces the lions. Even the greatest predators bow to the power of the storm. The hunt is abandoned, the strange prey forgotten. Hidden within the storm's embrace, they find a new strength, a grim determination to endure this final trial. He looks to the sky with a new understanding. The same nature that condemns can also deliver salvation. Lost in the deluge, they march onward, no longer hunted by lions, but tested by the world itself.
As the storm's fury recedes, it leaves behind a world washed clean, and a silence that is truly safe.
The parched earth, once their enemy, is now a vast, muddy obstacle, a new challenge in their endless trial. Soaked and shivering, they face the aftermath. They survived the lions and the storm, but the journey is not over. The rain, once a terror, now offers its gift. Every step is a battle against the clinging mud, a final, exhausting tax demanded by the plains.
Then, a familiar sight on the horizon, a landmark of home, a beacon of hope in the gray wasteland.
The sight of home ignites the last of their reserves, a final surge of energy to carry them through the end. Nature provides a meager reward, a tiny morsel of life to fuel their final steps towards safety. The soft earth gives way to familiar stone. The dreaded open plains are finally left behind. They climb the final ridge, their bodies aching, their minds numb, driven only by the thought of home.
They reach the summit and behold the familiar sight of home, a dusty, barren sanctuary, but theirs nonetheless.
The waiting clan, their hope worn thin by days of uncertainty, finally see a sign on the horizon. They return not with water, but with their lives. A sight that brings not joyous cheers, but profound relief. In this reunion, there are no words of triumph, only the silent, powerful language of touch and shared survival. Their hands are empty of prizes, but full of the connection that matters most, the bond of their family.
The story is told. A tale of oases guarded by monsters and of a desperate, ingenious escape.
He speaks of the lion's terror, but also of the storm's salvation. A lesson in nature's terrible balance. The clan listens, their own small world expanding to include the vast, terrifying knowledge of what lies beyond.
A meager offering is shared by all, a reminder that even in failure, there is sustenance, and there is community. He looks back at the plains, no longer a place of hope, but a forbidden frontier, a world of monsters. Survival was a temporary state. The relief of their return quickly gave way to the persistent gnawing of thirst. But the journey had taught him a vital lesson. Water does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers from beneath the earth. A patch of stubborn green, a hint of moisture, a sign that life persisted, even in this dying land.
He shared his new idea, not to journey out to water, but to dig down, to bring the water to them.
They trusted the wisdom he had earned through terror. A desperate new hope was placed in this patch of earth.
With their simple tools, they began to carve into their world, fueled by a new kind of determination. The sun beat down, their muscles ached, but they toiled on, digging deeper than they ever had before.
And then, a sign. Not a river, not a flood, but the simple, miraculous feel of wet mud.
A frantic energy takes hold. They claw at the earth, working together to release the life trapped within. Water, seeping from the stone, a tiny, muddy pool. A victory of intellect over the harshness of their world. They stare at their creation, not with triumph, but with awe. They had not found water, they had summoned it. The rest of the clan approaches, drawn to the impossible sight. Hope, once a distant dream, was now at their feet. The first gift from their new well is given to the next generation, a promise of a future. A single drop of muddy water can rekindle the spark of life and defy the grip of a harsh world. They share the water with a new sense of order, for this was not a gift from nature, but their own creation. The leader looks back at the forbidden plains, his mind retracing the path of terror that led to this moment. The memory of the lion's eyes, a phantom of the night, still burned within his mind's eye.
But the memory was no longer just terror. It was a lesson, the catalyst for the idea that saved them all.
They had faced the terror of the plains and returned with something far more precious than water: knowledge. The well became the new heart of their world, a permanent source of life, born from a temporary terror. With water, life returns in full. The laughter of the young, a sound more precious than any river. And with this new resource came new ideas, the first small steps on the long road to mastering their world. They did not forget the dangers. They prepared, not with fear, but with the quiet strength of survivors.
The most vital gift was passed to the next generation. Not just tools, but the knowledge of how to think.
They learned to respect the darkness, but no longer lived in fear of it. They had found their own light. Their shelter, a tiny island of ingenuity in an ocean of primal instinct and brute force. The great predators still roamed, embodying the raw and untamed power of the ancient world. That would not change. But something profound had shifted. The hominids had discovered their own kind of power, a weapon within the mind. This was the dawn of ingenuity. The moment a fragile creature learned that the greatest terror could inspire the greatest leap forward.